Good morning. We will continue from where we left off yesterday evening.
Good morning.
Alas, woe to Gandhari, who has lost her sons, grandsons, friends, fathers, brothers, and relatives. The Pandavas have accomplished a difficult feat. They have again gained a kingdom without a rival.
What does Gandhari represent? What does Gandhari represent? Pardon? Denial of
Willful blindness.
We have this husband and wife where the husband cannot see, he's blind, but the wife can see, but she chooses to remain blind. Right? Very important character. And there are two aspects to Gandhari. So let us take this first aspect of Gandhari. What do we call that? Choosing not to see and mechanically not seeing. Mechanically not seeing. What would it be? You're Gujarati? You're Gujarati? No. In Gujarati we say aankh hade kaan karu. I'm giving you a hint. I'm giving you a hint. Yeah.
Willful blindness.
Huh?
Willful blindness.
Right. But it is not a conscious form of blindness. It is still mechanical. It is still a lower form. Right? And what does it represent within us? Buffers. Right? So, supposing I lose money in my business, then how do I buffer it? How do I buffer it? It was God's will, or it was no, mera naseeb mein nahi tha. Right? So what have I done? What have I done in that? What does a buffer do? What does a buffer do?
Blame it on something else in this case.
Exactly, but what does a buffer do? It absorbs the shock, so you can drink tea in a train, right? So if you're drinking tea, the tea remains over there, otherwise, right? So the shock of losing the money, I have closed my eyes to reality, willfully blind, that it is my fault. I say कि मेरे नसीब में नहीं था, not my fault. It was not in my destiny. Right? This is a kind of buffer. Recently, somebody brought to my attention a kind of buffer, because you keep on learning in these things. So somebody brought a very simple, right? And she tells you, right, that she was telling me all these things about you. Right? Got it? She tells you that she was telling me all these things about you. Right? So you get very angry, and you come to me, you tell her, she is your friend, you tell her That why can't she tell me on my face? Right? Normal thing happens in life. Right? Now where is the buffer? Where is the buffer? Where is the buffer? Come on, so easy. You're telling her through me to tell on her, but why don't you go and tell her on her face? Can you get it? So, in life, we buffer shocks. We buffer shocks. What is the most famous shock we can talk about? The most famous shock we can talk about. Huh? Tulsidas. I've talked about it to you all. Tulsidas. Right? Tulsidas he was very attached to his wife. Very attached to his wife. Not only that, he had this, what do you call, inner urge that he has to meet his wife every day. Right. And the wife's brother comes and takes her to his home for a few days, and Tulsidas comes back home and sees that his wife has gone to her father's home, and he can't live without her, can't live without his wife. So he goes out, and there's a great storm brewing. So he walks miles and miles through the storm. And then he comes to a river, and in the river is in flood, and he doesn't know how to cross the river. His wife's home is on the other side. And then he steps on a dead body, and the dead body takes him to the other side. And then he comes to his wife's home, and his wife's room is on the first floor. And he catches a snake and he climbs up to the first floor. Right? And the wife sees him and gets very angry, and she says that all this passion you have for me, if you had for Ram, and the arrow goes straight in, and that moment he drops everything and he goes, and he becomes a Ram Bhakt. And then he writes the Tulsi Ramayana. Now what would we have done? 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 Come on. Huh? Let him do it. Let him do it.
You would have blamed the wife. I have taken so much trouble for you.
Where exactly?
And this is the way you behave.
This is the way I've come through a storm. I climbed on a dead body. I caught a snake, etc., etc. And you don't have any, what do you call,
Feelings.
soft feelings for me, and this is what you say, right? And this is how we would have done it normally in life. Then the shock gets buffered, and the soul which is sleeping inside cannot awaken. But here the shock went through all the layers, and the soul awakened. Right? Now, how many shocks do we get throughout the day? How many shocks do we get throughout the day? Come on, everybody's married. You're not married, of course, but whoever is married. How many shocks do you get throughout the day? Right? What do you do? Do you allow them to go into the soul or do you buffer them? Huh? You buffer them. You buffer them. Right? And we keep on collecting buffers upon buffers. It becomes like a thick armor inside. And nothing then from outside can penetrate that armor and awaken the soul. Right? And that is why we have to be vulnerable people. We have to be vulnerable, not protected people. Vulnerable people. That whatever shock comes from outside, it goes straight in. What happens in a buffer? What happens in a buffer?
We justify.
But it is like a wall in the mind. It is like a wall in the mind. When we are on this side of the wall, we cannot see this side. Right? And when we are on this side of the wall, we cannot see this side. I love to read Scandal. You know what is Scandal? Right? And then I piece things together. Where there is no connections I piece things together. Right? And I sort of fill in the jigsaw puzzle. I enjoy it. And I made so many jigsaw puzzles in the last 70 years. Or maybe more. Now, supposing I judge somebody through Scandal. Supposing I judge somebody through Scandal. Right? That this guy's character is like this, or this person's character is like this. Then am I in a buffer? I'm in a buffer because one side I get so attracted to Scandal, right? And the other side I'm judging somebody. Can you see the two things? Right? I am what I judge. I am what I judge. So this is one side of Gandhari, and that even though it is perceptible by a little effort, by taking off the blindfold, it is perceptible, but she's not willing to see. And this could be one of the major causes for the death of all these children and grandchildren, whatever he's talking over here. Grandchildren talking over here. Now there's a deeper aspect of Gandhari. Gandha. Gandha means smell. So she represents the Gandha Tanmatra. What is a Tanmatra? What is a Tanmatra?
Impressions.
Every impression is made up of different tanmatras. So when Mr. Tavaria doesn't talk about impression, what does he talk about? What does he talk about?
Impulses.
He talks about incoming impulses. Those are tanmatras. Those are tanmatras. The incoming impulses are the tanmatra. It's very deep science. I don't want to go into it today. Very, very deep. So the sense of smell, is a tanmatra. And it is a tanmatra of which element? Earth. It is a tanmatra of the earth element. the earth element. Have we gone deep into the 5 elements and the Tan Matras and how they were formed and all that? No. Next time we'll do it.
It's connected to the Muladhara chakra.
To the?
Muladhara chakra.
The Muladhara chakra is predominantly the earth element. Predominantly the earth element. Right? So, but here I'm trying to bring out something, an aspect of Gandhari as the Gandha Tanmatra. The Gandha Tanmatra. Now, Tanmatras, when we study them, they are of 2 kinds. And it is called the particular and the universal. The particular and the universal. Okay, before we go into this, what goes into the process of seeing? How do I see you? The Shastras are talking about something called darshan. Darshan. Right? So even before we go into the Yoga Sutras, Atha Yoga Darshanam. What is it is the Shastra of darshan, to see. Right? And when I see, what goes into the science of seeing? Am I looking at you, or am I looking at a recreated picture of you in the on the screen of the chitta? Recreated. Right? How is that picture recreated on the screen of the chitta? What goes into the composition of that screen, the picture on the screen of the chitta?
The impulses travel from the object.
Yeah, but what creates the impulses? Pardon? No. See, I look upon her. What falls upon her? Attention. Attention. I can't look at her. Even if my eyes are in front of her, but there's no attention, then I'm not looking at her. Even though the eyes are maybe gazing at her, not looking at her. Right? So when attention falls upon anything, right? And this is the problem with science today, that when attention falls upon, the quality of what they are observing changes. Right? The property of what they are observing changes. So thousands of years ago, the rishis said, when attention falls upon an object or a vishay, that vishay is broken down into electromagnetic impulses, incoming impulses. That vishay is broken down into electromagnetic impulses. So we'll go a little deep in this science of Tanmatra today. Little bit, because otherwise I won't be I won't be able to explain it. So she is broken down into Tanmatra. What is the meaning of the word Tanmatra? Tan meaning minimum, matra meaning measure. The minimum measure, right? You want to bake a cake? What is the minimum measure for flour? So much, right? The minimum measure for salt, etc., etc. Sugar, right? So, the meaning of the word Tanmatra is a minimum measure. And Tanmatra is nothing but an electromagnetic impulse. Electromagnetic impulse. So you are broken down into electromagnetic impulses. Those impulses flow through my senses or my eyes or whatever. and your image is recreated inside on the screen of the chitta. And I say I am looking at you, I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at your recreated image. Now, how many types of Tanmatra are there? How many types of Tanmatra are there? 5 for the 5 elements. 5 for the 5 elements. Can man sense the Tanmatra, or can man only sense the element? Tell me, come on. I can't hear what you're saying. Only the element. Our 5 senses are only capable of sensing the element. They cannot sense the Tanmatra out of which that element is. The Tanmatra is what we call supra-sensible. Supra-sensible. Now, to recreate your image on the screen of my chitta, when I look at you and attention falls upon you, and you are broken down into electromagnetic impulses, supposing you are broken down into 10,000 electromagnetic impulses, right? Do I need all 10,000 to recreate your image, or do I need a minimum measure? I'm taking you into the deepest aspects of Indian philosophy. Nobody else will take you there. Right? I'm taking you into the deepest aspects of what the rishis did. Right? So, you come in as electromagnetic impulses. You're recreated on the image on the screen of the mind. But you are broken down into 10,000 electromagnetic impulses. To recreate your image, I may need only 500. So how many come in? 500 come in. And that is why this is called as a universal Tanmatra. Why is it called universal? Any guess anyone can make? Any guess? Can anyone make? No? Huh? What? Why is it called a universal Tanmatra? We have said there are 5 kinds of Tanmatra, right? But to come in, it is called a universal minimum measure, right? Because the Tanmatra which is coming in is not a particular of the 5. It is not a particular of the 5. It is a general composite of the 5. So, if I am looking at her image, the electromagnetic impulses, some will be of Akash Tattva, some will be of Prithvi Tattva, some will be of what you call, right? Can you get what I'm trying to say? Agni Tattva, some will be of Vayu Tattva, some will be of Apas, water Tattva, right? So, there's a general mixture. Your whole image is a mixture of all the 5 elements. So, to recreate that image, I need a mixture of those elements coming in. So, the electromagnetic impulses which are coming in, they are the atom of those electromagnetic impulses, it replicates you. Can you understand that atom? And that is why it is a composite of 5 elements. Is this understood by everyone? Or not? I'll repeat it in some other way.
One question.
Yeah.
So, let's say these 500 that come, these 500 in total represent a combination of these 5 elements.
Actually, only one comes in.
Okay.
And that is a combination of all the 5 elements. And that one is needed for me to recreate her image on the screen of the mind.
So out of these 500, maybe 100 might be Akash, 100
They
might be
go to
Vayu.
form a universal.
Yes.
They go to form a composite. And that composite comes in and I recreate her image. Right? Now, there's something called the particular. It's very important, very, very important. I see her coming in, and out of this whole composite of her, the only thing I decode is she is sitting so comfortably. She is sitting so comfortably. Whilst the universal which came in, it may have had so many things. I could have decoded something else. I could have decoded her form. Oh, what a beautiful form. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? But instead of decoding what a beautiful form, I decoded, what did I decode? She is sitting comfortably. What would be the particular in this case? Okay, before this we'll go back to something else. You see, some things and with me it is such, I give it to you, I just give it to you. But I did not get it this way. I had to pay very heavily to get it. Right? So, this one word, Tan Matra, I'm giving you a hint now of the particular, a hint of the particular. I want you to give me the answer. So I was asking Mr. Tavaria for more than 6 months. I was asking him that you please give me an answer. I can't understand exactly how this is connected with the, incoming impulse, how they are the Tanmatras, and how the, the feeling inside is also the Tanmatra, and how are you matching all this? And every time I would ask him, he would ask me, what did you do in the stock market today? And which share did you buy and which did you sell and all that. So one day he told me, when you're practicing in the morning, ask in your dream. So in the dream, there was this waterfall. And somebody told me in the dream, put your hand in the waterfall. So I put my hand. So he says, is the waterfall real or is it imaginary? So I said, the waterfall is a creation of my mind. I'm in a dream. How can the waterfall be real? Right? But is the feeling of being wet real or is it imaginary? So I said, the feeling of being wet is real. And that moment I understood. Right? So what I'm trying to tell, what I'm teaching you today, I paid for it very, dearly. I'm teaching you on a platter. Teaching you on a platter. Okay, now I've given you the hint. Her image has come in and I say, oh, she's sitting so comfortably. What has happened over here? Come on, now you tell me.
The specific aspect of that image that forms a thought inside of us.
No. First of all, let's go step by step. The universal Tanmatra comes from out to in. Where is the particular Tanmatra?
Inside.
Where?
In our memory pattern.
Where is the particular Tanmatra?
In the chakras?
In the 5 senses.
5 senses.
Not the sense organs. But in the 5 senses. In the 5 senses. And the 5 senses, of course, are connected to the 5 chakras. So, she's sitting on the floor and getting the support of which tattva? Prithvi tattva. Can you get it? So, Her image came in as a universal Tanmatra, a composite of Prithvi, Jal, Tej, Vayu, Akash. Right? What came in was a composite. But within my, what do you call, sense of sensing, there is a particular Tanmatra. It is not lying outside, it is lying within my own sense organ. If the senses, not the sense organ, the senses. And it decodes this. She's sitting so comfortably. So Prithvi decodes Prithvi. Can you understand? Prithvi decodes Prithvi. I say she's sitting so comfortably out of the particular Tanmatra of Prithvi, which will have many possibilities, many tendencies, right? So that particular Tanmatra of Prithvi decoded the Tanmatras which were coming in as incoming impulses, and I said she's sitting so comfortably. But if the Prithvi Tanmatra had not done it, but the Agni Tanmatra had been activated, which was lying there as a particular within me, then I would say she is looking so beautiful or something of that sort. Is this now coming across to you, right? So the universals are outside, the particulars are inside. When you're in a dream, the particulars are working suddenly without having any universal. Right? So, that is the advantage of dream yoga. You're moving one step inside into your senses, and you're able to work at a suprasensible level, because in normal life we cannot feel these tanmatras, we cannot sense these tanmatras. But when we start practicing dream yoga, we start moving to a subtle this thing where we are sensing these tanmatras. And then comes a time when we can control the tanmatra. But that is much deeper than this, much deeper than that. Right? So, she is the Gandha Tanmatra. She is the Gandha Tanmatra, which is of the? Which is of? Prithvi. It is of Prithvi. It is of Prithvi, right? She is the Gandha Tanmatra of Prithvi. Now, what is the subtle? Now we are not sensing Prithvi as something solid or something resisting, something giving support. We are sensing that which makes up Prithvi. The suprasensible part of Prithvi, which is the sense of smell. It is represented as the sense of smell, but it has many dimensions. Now, what does that tell us? Come on. What does that tell us? What does that tell us? Come on, you use it every day. I mean, all these detective novels, and you all don't see any serials or whatever. Huh? Right? What does the detective say? What does the detective say? He goes into an empty home and his gun is out and all that. What does he say? I smell a rat. Huh? He says, I smell a rat. You can see the Gandha Tanmatra is working. The Gandha Tanmatra is working. The Gandha Tanmatra, in its deeper aspect, gives you a sensitivity of the future. Gives you a sensitivity of the future. Now, how do you activate your sensitivity? What is the technique of activating the sensitivity towards the Gandha Tanmatra? What is the technique? The technique in Hatha Yoga. Everybody has practiced all the asanas and all that. Yes, to look at the tip of the nose. So when you practice meditation, looking at the tip of the nose over a period of time, you get that suprasensibility of the Tanmatra, right? You go into a meeting, you can sense what is going to happen in the meeting, right? you are trying to make up something for a contract, you know from the beginning what is going to happen. It gives you a sort of sense of the future. It gives you a sort of smell of the future. The Gandha Tanmatra, right? She knew her son was going to go into a Gada Yudh, and she wanted to make his body of iron. And she could do it because she had this inner power to manipulate one Tanmatra into another Tanmatra. Of course, that is a much deeper aspect. When we study the deeper aspects of these Tanmatras, it is like a physicist is studying atoms and subatomic particles in the laboratory. These particles do not occupy space. They do not occupy space. They have no mass, but they have direction. They have direction and they have speed, right? So I'll stop over here. Of course, this is a very, very deep subject. We'll take it some other time. We'll go deeper into it. Yeah, please.
So just now in this example, we say that she decoded the Gandha Tanmatra. Is it changing all the time, or like in that moment, if my Agni Tanmatra was more active, I don't know this, so I would have sensed that picture differently.
Where I'm identified.
Okay.
You see, it's like you and I walk down a street and then we write down what we saw in the street. So you may have seen the jewelry shop and I may have seen the bookshop, right? So where my attention has a tendency to go out of habitual pattern, right? So at 70 years, I'll see she's sitting comfortably because I'm identified with sitting comfortably. But if I was 20 years old, I'd say she's so beautiful. So it would be something else, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Right? So let's go to the next one, I suppose. Or you want to say something? Huh? No? Okay.
There is a question on YouTube regarding buffers. Should we take it now or?
Yeah, take it.
The question is, how can we let the shock awake our soul? What should be our mindset to take the shock to the soul?
Who is this?
It's just the name of the device. It's OnePlus. But if you are listening to us, can you please type your name?
So, I mean, it's a simple answer to the question. Man. What would be the first answer? Not to react. Not to react. Right? Second thing is to bring acceptance. And to be, most important is to be vulnerable. To allow the spear which is coming in to do the most damage. Right? To allow the bullet which is coming in to do the most damage. Because it is hitting directly upon the ego. Right? Does that answer the question? Yeah, okay.
Alas, I have heard that only 10 people have survived this difficult war. 3 on our side and 7 on the side of the Pandavas.
How many of us have read the purpose of birth and death. Okay, now we are going to talk something little controversial over here. But it'll open our eyes to a new dimension, a new way of thinking. First, I'll give an example from Gurdjieff, then I'll go to the purpose of birth and death. Because if I give you an example from Gurdjieff, it may be easier to understand what Mr. Tavaria is saying. Now, Gurdjieff says that there was the divine architect, which in the Mahabharat is called as Vishwakarma, the divine architect. And the divine architect, he created the earth, the planet Earth, and then he created the moon, and the moon was getting energy from the reflection of the earth, and in that the moon was growing. So the idea was that the earth one day grows into a sun, the sun grows into something like a galaxy, and the moon grows into something like the earth. So for that, the moon needs energy, a certain kind of energy. And that energy would come from the earth. So then they found that the divine architect, that things were moving at a very slow pace. They were moving at a very slow pace, and the moon was not growing. And so, first of all, elementary life was created upon the, earth. Now, I don't want to go deeper into this, but just to give you an idea that Gurdjieff has a hierarchy which he calls the ray of creation. Absolute, all worlds, one world, sun, planet, earth, moon. This is a one ray of creation, and out of the absolute, thousands of such rays come out. Right? Now, to create the moon, for the moon to grow, it needed the energy of the sun, but between the sun and the moon were two stepping stones, planets and earth. And the energy got blocked there. So first, elementary life was created upon the earth. Elementary life took food from the sun, ate that food, threw it out, and from that throwing out, the moon started getting energy. They found that this was not enough, right? Still things were moving at a very, slow pace. So then plant life was created on the earth, right? And the plants, the leaves of the plants took in the energy of the sun, and they created all the elements, and they dropped the elements in the soil. And when the plant died, it gave off a certain energy which went to the moon, and the moon started growing. Still, it was not enough. So then they created animals. And the energy which the moon really liked, which was like a lollipop for the moon, the ice cream, right, was the energy of suffering. The energy of suffering. And so animals would suffer, right? A cow would give birth to a calf, but a lion would come and eat that calf. And in that mother of the, what do you call, calf suffering, she's crying for this, what do you call, uh, so she would give off so much of energy in that crying, and that would go to the moon. Now the moon was getting its, what do you call, a little bit of its fill, you know. So it needed that energy. So an animal would die, and the more they would suffer when they die. If they died easily, then the moon didn't get so much energy. But if the animal died in real suffering, right? And if you see in certain religions of the world, they give their income tax to the moon. They give their income tax to the moon. How do they give the income tax to the moon? They'll cut the goat in a small cut where the goat will bleed and suffer for a long time. And to us, it looks very cruel because it's cruelty to animals, but at a very higher level, it could mean something different. And so, out of the suffering of animals, and when the animal died, and many times most animals would die, one animal would eat another. So, if you've seen National Geographic, lions, they kill their prey and eat them. But leopards, even when the prey is still alive, they are already eating the prey. And suddenly you see this whole thing on this scale of the food for the moon, right? But still something was missing. Still something was missing. Some intellectual energy was missing, right? So again, the divine architect, he sat down with God and they had a conference and all that. I don't know whether they drank a couple of glasses of wine or whatever, right? And they said, this is missing. We have to make man. And man will eat from the sun and he will give out negative thoughts, negative emotions, and the moon will get its full. And so they created man. And man, when they initially created man, according to Gurdjieff, they did not give him a divine fragment. They did not give him a, what do you call, a portion of God. They just created man. And they found that the moon is now growing okay at a good speed, but still something is missing. Still something is missing. So then they had to put the divine fragment into man. Now the problem came for the architect, right? If you put the divine fragment into man, then man has the possibility of becoming God, right? So, but the divine architect said that don't worry, we'll put in so many negative emotions and he'll keep falling and keep on giving to the moon. He won't even remember that he can become a god, right? And nobody remembers that they can become a god. And they keep on providing for. And then they found now the chapter is closed. The chapter is closed. The moon is getting enough of what you call. And every night when man goes to sleep, his soul goes back into the spirit inside, and in deep sleep, the soul and the spirit is one. In the morning, the soul comes out, and it comes with the energy of the spirit, right? And such powerful, such valuable energy. And then some phone call comes or somebody insults us, and we throw out that energy, and the moon eats it up. And the moon gets divine energy through man. I don't know if this is getting clear to everyone, right? And then the moon really started growing after that. And things were happening. Don't just take this as an external moon. No, don't take this just as an external moon. But this created in a man the possibility to become God. So man had two destinies now. Either he becomes moon or he becomes God. Either he eats from the sun his whole life, and provides all the negative energy to the moon, which every man does, right? And or he becomes self-conscious because of that putting in the divine fragment, he could become self-conscious. Animals cannot have self-consciousness, right? And he uses that self-consciousness to work toward becoming God again. So man has two possibilities. Either he can be, and this is the story in Gurdjieff. Now we have something very similar in the purpose of birth and death, right? And thank you. Mr. Tavaria says that once the divine fragment comes into Bhu Bhuva Swaha, it leaves its celestial home. It has to fall down right to the Nadir, right to the point of Nadir. And this will give you a new vision. Mr. Tavaria is going to give you a new vision of the Mahabharata. New vision of the Mahabharata, what we are going to talk about now. Now this divine fragment, he started falling and he fell through Swahalok, the electronic universe. Then he fell through Bhuvalok, the molecular universe. And he came to Bhulok, and at a sub-stage of Bhulok, he got stuck. The divine fragment got stuck. See, he's saying that 18 Akshonis have died in this war. Can you imagine the food for the moon? The moon must have had a buffet for a couple of years, right? 18 Akshonis died in this war. Right? So, now, Mr. Tavares is saying this divine fragment is stuck. The law says he cannot go back unless he first goes down to Nadir. Unless he goes. Now this is very similar. The sun's energy is stuck. It cannot bypass and it needs to go to the moon. Something has to be created to take the sun's energy to the moon. So Mr. Tavaria says at that time there has to be a rapid degeneration in the body-brain system which makes the vibration so gross that it falls to the Nadir. Take Nadir as the mineral kingdom just now, or Nadir within the body-brain system is the perineum. Now, how to degenerate the body-brain system? How to degenerate the body-brain system? So, man's thinking, man's actions, man's karma must degenerate to such a low level that the divine fragment is able to fall to Nadir. And that is the only way. Now, try to understand this. This is going to be a little difficult for us to understand. But this is the when we look at the cosmology of the Mahabharat, this seems to be the cosmic reason behind all this. The cosmic reason behind all. So, the other day we were talking about Hitler. And we'll say Hitler was a very cruel person. He killed 6 million Jews, right? A very cruel person killed 6 million Jews. Now, on this planet of ours, we are on the upward arc. We have already gone to Nadir and now we have come, right, 3, 2, 1. We are at 4. 1, 2, 3, we are at 4 in Bhulok. So, we have already passed through Nadir. But on this planet, sometimes there are some people, very rare people, who are on the downward arc. Downward arc. This is just my saying. Don't take this exactly of what I'm saying. I just want to give you an idea. So we'll say Hitler was a very cruel person, right, etc. But he had no choice. He had no choice. His divine fragment, his Atma was stuck at number 3 and it had to go to number 1. It had to fall 3 to 1. The only way for it to fall was he killed 6 million people. Am I now coming across in this? Am I now coming across in this? Can you understand? And when we study history, and we suddenly, in history, these figures come out to us. Those Atmas which were on the downward arc and have to still fall, and to still fall, they had to degenerate to such a level that they had to commit crimes on a very mass level. Very, very mass level. We will judge Hitler that he was cruel, but we cannot judge him. We are in no position to judge him, because if he was falling on the downward arc, it was just the law. It was done. He has not done anything. It is just the law which is operative, and that had to happen. Now in the Mahabharata, as we go ahead, we'll come to one chapter which is called Ansh Avtaran. Ansh Avtaran. So in this Ansh Avtaran, all the gods, all the Asurs, the Rakshasas, they all got together and they say they have to take part in this drama of the big war. Can you see? On a mass scale, it was already destined, the war. The war was already destined. 18 Akshoni people, which is much more than what happened in the Second World War. 18 Akshoni had to die. Right? Why did they have to die? Because so many Anshas, Ansha Avtaran, the coming down of the Ansha. So many Anshas, they were stuck there, and their divine fragments had to fall down into Nadir. And you see this as a, what do you call, cosmic cause behind the Mahabharata. It's as if in its purpose of birth and death, Mr. Tawariya ji has given us a total, what do you call, new vision of the Mahabharata, why this happened. We can read that again.
Alas, I have heard that only 10 people have survived this difficult war.
Can you imagine, in so many billions of warriors, only 10 people survived the war? When you read later on, when we read the descriptions of the war, the blood was flowing like rivers. The blood was flowing like rivers. There were waves in the rivers of the blood flowing. He's going to have all that description coming to us, right?
3 on our side and 7 on the side of the Pandavas.
Everybody else had to go. Why did they have to go? Because they had to fall to Nadir. They had to fall to. Only those on the upward arc had to remain on the upward arc. And then we see the Pandavas culminate in the upward arc. They move into heaven. They move into heaven.
In that fearful war of Kshatriyas, 18 armies have been slain.
Yeah.
I see extended and extreme darkness all around me.
He has now come into self-pity because he realizes that he was the cause of the war. He realizes he was the cause of the war.
Delusion overcomes me. O Sut, consciousness is leaving me.
Suta is Sanjay. Suta is Sanjay. Suta is a lower caste which married either a Brahmin or a, what do you call, Kshatriya. And the combination has a child which is Suta.
Consciousness is leaving me. My mind is delirious.
Yeah, I mean, he feels he's the cause of. Right.
Sauti said, this is now back to the original narrator, Sauti.
Original narrator. Who was narrating what happened in flashback to the rishis in Nimisharanya. In Nimisharanya. Huh? Huh? Sut. Sut.
Having uttered these words in greatest sorrow and, lamenting his fate, Dhritarashtra became unconscious. On recovering, he addressed Sanjay in these words. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, since this has happened, I wish to give up my life immediately. I see not consolation nor profit in being alive any longer. Sauti said, Then the wise son of Gavalgan addressed these words, full of meaning, to that wretched and lamenting king of earth. Sanjay said, From wise Narad and Dwaipayan, you have heard of many kings, those who had great enterprise and great strength. They were born in great royal dynasties and possessed great virtues. They knew the use of celestial weapons and were equal to Shakra in energy.
Shakra is Indra. Indra.
Having conquered the earth with righteous conduct and performed sacrifices with appropriate offerings, they obtained fame in this world and then succumbed to the forces of time. Such men were the great warrior Vainya, the brave Srinjay, who won through blessings.
You'll have to see if in Kesari Mohan the same names are there or not. Otherwise, just read through it. I mean, there's no point in doing anything. Yeah, go through. Don't even come to Yayati of good deeds.
Okay. Yeah. क्या चाहिए हाँ बस 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 रंतिदेव कक्षीवंत औशिज बालहिका दमन शैव्य शर्यति अजीत जीत विश्वमित्र द स्लेयर ऑफ एनिमीज and Ambarish of great strength, Marut, Manu, Ikshwaku, Gaya, Bharat, Ram the son of Dashrath, Shashabindu, Bhagirath, and Yayati of good deeds, to whom the gods themselves sacrificed, and who has left the habitable and inhabitable regions of the earth adorned with sacrificial sheds and stakes.
So all of them have either gone on the downward arc or they've gone on the upward arc. It looks like they've gone on the upward arc. Huh? Huh? Huh?
Many places here he has mentioned that adorn the earth with sacrificial sheds and stakes. What would be the meaning of this? And even previously he said that they performed many sacrifices.
Yeah, so for those sacrifices they constructed sheds and put a stake. They did a yagna over there.
Would there be any psychological meaning of, because this term of sacrifices comes so many times in the scriptures?
Sacrifice, we could say in the sense that they were on the upward arc and so they had to move up through what you call Vairagya. Through Vairagya.
Yeah, he's saying a good point that even though they did such great deeds, death still came to meet them. They still had to face death.
साहब मैं यहाँ पे कुछ कहूँ me sheds and stakes, may I just say something? Or sacrificial sheds and stakes are markers. You put a marker on your journey, then you are able to remember, and you have a marker for other people who are on the journey. Now there are two aspects to the stake and the shed. One is for your own self. So let's say you are traveling upwards in your own life, but then you forget, and then another incident comes in. You have to refer to earlier work done by your own self. That's a stake. What is the stake typically in your world? You put in a marker, no? You say the marker is of two kinds. One, this place is called whatever. Let's say it's a Janakeshwar. Or Janakeshwar is 1.5 kilometers from here. It works both ways, the marker. And a shed. So you get the psychological point. So suppose if you want me to expand a little bit, we'll take the same example. He insulted me, but I have worked previously. Correct? So now, what is the stake? A stake is always a cross. Of course, you'll decorate it in another way. It is always a cross. So where on the cross am I? So that is the marker. So suppose he insults me, so I have a reference point. Because without a reference point, no human being works. Because the reference point is so fast, we can't recognize it as a reference point, but it is there. The speed is too much. And the shed. What is the shed? Shed is of two kinds. One, it is a rectangular thing or a circular thing which provides shelter. Where do you need a shelter? Again, on your journey. And shed is also what you shed, the skin you shed. Again, the skin that you shed is a marker. Because you may have gone ahead of some things, but you remember that yes, I can go back to that state. The very typical thing to use for this example is the game of snakes and ladders, where if you do a wrong, you'll immediately come down to an earlier state and you will go back to that skin that you had shed. But on the shedding, something you may not do properly, back to square one. The shed again is of two kinds. I'm just saying this so that it can be done, for the video, for my memory also, for my reference some other time. All right? Sab, I hope that was okay.
So what would, like he says, what would stake mean? In Gurdjieffian terms, what would stake
Work
mean?
memory.
Work memory. Work memory. Work. Right. So, I mean, day after tomorrow, we are going to have a sutra, Shraddha, Virya, Smruti. Now, Patanjali talks of Smruti as a Vritti, Smruti as a Samadhi. So, what is Smruti as a Samadhi? This is the point where I last woke up, help me to wake up again. Smruti as a Samadhi. Yeah.
एक चीज और ऐड करूं यहाँ पे, because to add to what he said, memory is not just my memory. Both on the downward arc, on the upward arc, memory is accessible. Suppose if I reach a certain level, all memory of those people who have passed before me is accessible to me. I don't have to rely upon only my efforts or my memory or my whatever I have accumulated. Everyone's memory is available to me. So in that moment, on that marker, Ketav has gone to IIT and has worked so hard on, let's say, physics. But when I reach, let's say, IIT and Ketav has passed out, I can refer to his notes. May I not? And can I not? I can. And isn't that same Ketav's work is available to me then? It is. If that can be done at that very basic elementary level in school and college, why isn't it available in the entire universe? All people are there to help and all of their memories are accessible to me at any point. Downward arc and upward arc both. Just to add.
No, on the downward arc, you're pre-programmed.
Yeah, that is a pre-program, an automatic thing.
Yeah.
But it's still memory.
We'll have to take that in two ways. All memory will only be accessible when you will reach Mahakal. Right? So, All memory of all levels cannot be accessible. The memory of the stake can be accessible. Memory of the stake can be accessible. When you come to that state where all memory is accessible, then that is a different state altogether. Different state. But whatever has been put in that stake, buried in the ground in that stake, that memory is accessible. Ketav's notes are accessible. Right. But all of Ketav's memory is not accessible. That will be accessible in Mahakal. That will be accessible. But his notes are there in the stake. That is what you're saying. That memory. बोलो ना मैं उसको मांगू
एक चीज और यहाँ पे बोल दूं, because the word sacrificial is very difficult to figure out.
नहीं, but that you'll have to go to the Sanskrit word over here.
हाँ.
You'll have to go to the Sanskrit word.
But more memory is accessible when it has been done with the intention of sacrifice, meaning I consciously do something.
No, he clearly mentioned in purpose
Yeah.
that only those recordings are available in the Mahakal which are harmful to others. Not all the memory is recorded in the micro recording, super micro recording monitor. That is Bij Anu. So only those motives are recorded which is harmful for the others.
It's like this, that what he's saying is that he has buried his notebook somewhere.
Hmm.
So that is available.
That is a,
That is what the stake means. It is the work, or it is my work memory. Right? My work memory tells me when you're angry, you tense and relax the muscles. Right? Now, if that is written so that now it can help thousands of other people at the time of getting angry. You understand that?
but which memory will help when I don't have a physical body? In dream or in the state between death and the new birth, which memory will help me?
No, no. What are we talking about here?
Yes.
No, no. What are we talking about here?
This is about the physical memory.
Huh. Yeah, I didn't understand.
May I simplify this in another way, Saab? Because he's not getting one thing. There is Saab being recorded right now. What is this?
This memory is available.
This is a recording. Is it available to
It
all
is
people
available.
or no?
Of
Right.
course available.
Now, supposing I've written notes.
Yes, this is available.
The note is available.
Available.
But what all I did in writing the notes is not available.
Yes.
Unless somebody can go from the word to the madhyama and to the pashyanti.
Yes,
That is,
yes.
go from the physical word to the prana in the word. That is a different thing. But then again, when you are invoking memory through prana, there is the thing of editing the memory. We won't go into all that. What I'm simple, that he has buried his notebook and the notebook is available. The notebook is available.
Also, when we read something, you read the purpose of birth and death. I see the recording after 1000 years. Saab was sitting in a time zone called 2024 in some day of July. And I see it 1000 years later. Will I understand exactly what he was saying? Or will I understand only according to my structure of acceptance? What he said earlier, that she's sitting comfortably. So when we read that, we are only seeing from, again, memory that we have been able to access. But that doesn't mean that what he has said is not available to me. Whatever he is seeing, it has been recorded on video. All of that is accessible. But what I can understand, again, is dependent upon what I am.
Mahabharat is written before 5000 years. And we are now decoding it according to our structure.
See, he he's saying one thing. He's saying one thing, right? He's talking about the memory of motives which are being recorded in the super micro monitors. But that does not mean all memory, because memory is indestructible. All memory is being recorded somewhere at some point. Memory cannot be destroyed, right? And everything lies in Mahakal. Mahakal. The memory of motive lies in super micro recording monitor, right? But all other memory is indestructible, and it is all lying available somewhere. Right? And you can connect to that memory. That also he said. What I was saying, that at a certain level you cannot connect to all memory of that level. You can only connect to his hidden notes at that level. To connect to all his memory there, which is lying in a cloud somewhere, right? That cloud is Mahakal, right? I was using the word cloud before computer started using the word cloud, right? So the cloud in Mahakal, I was using this word 30 years ago. Cloud, they started using now, right? So, huh? So it is just a cloud in Mahakal. Patanjali is a cloud in Mahakal. You can connect to that cloud. Can you understand? But that does not mean you will connect to the verbal memory. You will connect to Patanjali's prana. You will connect to Patanjali's prana. And through that prana, you will have to work. Right? You're not going to connect to the, what you call, the verbal memory. You will connect in his notebook. Right? That prana will evoke, has the possibility of evoking many images. Then you have to, what do you call, decode those images. You have to, right? And they will come more in, like he said, in dream form, in symbolic form. They will not come in, what do you call, absolute picture form. Yeah, there's something I remembered now, that I was using the word cloud 30 years ago, right? And science is using the word cloud now. Yeah. Huh? All memory is in the cloud.
And the cloud being used by science is not really cloud. It is data centers, large electronic boxes in either buried under the sea, under the ground, or some part of the world. So it's not, technically it's not cloud computing. Yes, yes. So this no, he has he still has the patent. He still has the patent.
What? What?
He still has the copyright of the cloud.
No.
Yeah. What I'm saying is the current cloud isn't even a cloud. Isn't even a cloud.
No. When Mr. Tavaria gave the word to us in purpose, I always thought Mahakal of so many clouds, of memory. So many clouds of memory. And you connect to one cloud and that memory comes to you. But it does not come in data form, right? It comes in symbolic form.
So symbols that you mentioned, that is the Madhyama level, correct? But can this memory also come in the Pashyanti level, which is a spark or just an insight or just a certain flash of understanding, which then becomes a picture, which then we express as words?
Can, why not? Take it this way. Here we have Krishna telling Arjun something. Here we have Sanjay looking at that. And then Sanjay telling the same thing in words to Dhritarashtra. Right? Krishna told Arjun, field of battle. Right? that was written down or opened by Sanjay to Dhritarashtra. To Dhritarashtra. Now, did Krishna tell Arjun in all these in these 700 slokas, or did he tell him in a flash? He told him in a flash. He told him in a flash. For the guru and disciple, 700 slokas are not needed. There's just a electrical transmission, finished, right? He told him in a flash. For Sanjay to explain this thing, he took 700 slokas and 18 chapters. Can you understand? Right? So, but Krishna must have just done it in a few seconds. The Gita must have been over it. Can you imagine them in the middle of the battlefield for a couple of hours? It would be the most stupid thing. It could not have happened that way. It's not possible. It's not feasible also. In the middle of the battlefield, you stop, pause for 3 hours, everybody's looking and two guys are talking over there. Right? Doesn't make sense also. It's there. Huh? Where? Yeah. The movie gets downloaded in 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes more than 5 minutes, and I have to wait and I have to wait. That circle goes round, then it stops over there. But I mean, it was an electronic transmission in Pashyanti. What Sanjay saw was in Madhyama, and what he told, Dhritarashtra was in Vaikhari. So, memory is there in Mahakal, all memory. And that is why when Mr. Tauria says that the Mahabharata has not happened once, it has happened so many times. He's reading Mahakal. Okay, so this was just to give an idea why 18 Akshonis had to die. 18 Akshonis had to die.
But there were other kings. In ancient times, when Shaivya was afflicted with the loss of his son, these were the 24 kings whose acts were cited by the royal sage Narad. But there were other kings who came and went before, with more power, great warriors, great souls, and blessed with all the good qualities. They were Puru, Kuru, Yadu, Shur, Vishwagashva of great endurance, Anena, Yuvanshva, Kakustha.
You don't want to go through all this. You want to go through all this. We are not going to work. And when they come in the Mahabharata, we'll have a look at them at that time. If they come. You want to go through all this.
So these kings and hundreds of others, as many as lotuses, have been heard of. Giving up immense wealth and pleasure, these great, powerful and wise kings attained death, as did your sons. Even those performers of celestial deeds, great souls who had valor, generosity, truth, purity, pity, magnanimity, faith, and simplicity, and whose abundance of good qualities and riches have been described for the world in the Puranas by superior poets of great learning.
No, go ahead.
They too went to their death. Your sons were wicked, envious, greedy, driven by passion and evil. Do not mourn for them.
Do not mourn for them. They were on the downward arc. They had to do their deeds and they had to go. Right? They had to do their deeds and go. They were wicked, they were greedy, they were envious. And for us who are on the upward arc, they must become a what you call lesson for redemption, where we can redeem the wicked, redeem the envious, redeem the greedy, and move upward.
O Dhritarashtra, you are knowledgeable in the Shastras and characterized by intelligence and wisdom. Those whose understanding follows the norms of the Shastras do not succumb to delusion. O King of men, you know the good fortune and misfortune of fate. You know the extreme sentiments you succumb to in protecting your sons. You should not sorrow for that which was bound to happen.
Well, he's trying to tell Dhritarashtra what happened happened. Now don't fall down. Try to rise up. Make use of the situation and rise up. Okay? But Dhritarashtra, whether he listens or not is a different thing, right?
Those who are wise do not feel sorry over fate. Even with the greatest wisdom, that which is ordained will happen. No one can transgress the path that has been laid down.
Yes. Only you can become a witness to it. And that witnessing is the greatest.
Time brings existence and non-existence, pleasure and pain. Time creates all elements and time destroys all beings.
Everything is in time. And time itself is moving. Time is moving from what you call creation to non-creation. From what you call pleasure to pain. Everything is in the movement of time and all creatures are moving in time.
Time burns all subjects, and it is time that extinguishes the fire.
Right.
Time alone is awake when everything is asleep.
Right. You may feel you've gone to sleep, but time has passed. It is awake, it is doing its thing.
Time cannot be conquered. Time walks in all elements, pervasive and impartial. Knowing that everything past, present, and future is created by time, it is not appropriate that you should be consumed by grief.
Saying, drop your grief and move ahead. Understand time. Shall we stop here and then take whatever we want to talk about? Any questions? Huh? Huh? Okay, yeah.
Sauti, the original narrator, said, Krishna Dvaipayan has composed a holy Upanishad. The study of Bharat is such a holy act. The study of Bharat is such a holy act that even if one reads only one line of a shloka, all the reader's sins are destroyed.
We've read many lines in these 4 days, right? So you're given a license to commit many more sins because this balance has become, what do you call? You've got a lot of money in the bank, right?
A lot of scriptures or even devotional hymns have this line
What?
that if you, let's say, read this, your sins will be destroyed. If you do it in this way, more sins will be destroyed. How can one understand?
See, all the, what do you call, scripture, the writings in the scriptures, they are at 7 different levels. 7 different levels. So, first is the level of our reasoning and logical understanding. So we try to understand the meaning. And when we understand the meaning of the word, it awakens certain pranas within us. And then when we read it again, the second time, there's the sensitivity of those pranas. Right. And the sensitivity of those pranas, what do you call, they open up a kind of field, a kind of plane. So if you take the writing as a line, the sensitivity of the planas expands onto the line, becomes a plane. And suddenly we see so many things which are not said in the lines. Not said in the lines. And as we go further into deeper levels, we transcend time and space. So we can go back into the time of the scripture. We can, like he said, we can take the scripture forward in time. And lastly, our pran and the person who has written this, they become one. So there are many levels of what do you call reading. So he says, when you read these scriptures, it leads to a what do you call a journey of rising in consciousness. And in that journey of rising in consciousness, you're free of the past and future, which are your sins and your karma, both. So it is not just what we read, just like that, but you can say our bank balance has increased. Yeah.
Here are lauded the performers of pure deeds, the gods, the devarshis, the immaculate brahmarshis, the yakshas, and the great nagas. The eternal Lord Vasudev has been lauded here. It is He who is truth, immortality, purity, and holy.
So this being lauded in the Shastra is called as singing a stuti. So you sing a stuti, that is a poetry or a song in praise of Krishna, in praise of Vasudeva. Sing a stuti. And in that you enumerate his, what do you call, gifts and his strength and qualities and all that. And in that sensitivity, you try to feel the prana of those qualities which you imbibe yourself. Right?
Can we use the word adoration?
Adoration, stuti. Stuti, to praise.
In it is described the eternal supreme Brahman, who is the constant everlasting light, and whose divine action is described by
Brahman
the
is
Lord.
the expanding consciousness, not Brahma, but expanding consciousness, the Brahman. The Brahman.
He is the source of the existing and the non-existing, the principle of extension and withdrawal.
So in the beginning there was a dot. That dot extended into the universe, and now there's withdrawal back into the dot. Right? In that expansion, space and time both were created.
In it has been described the Supreme Spirit, who assumes the attributes of the 5 elements and 3 qualities, and to whom words like unmanifest cannot be applied.
Yeah, because he is not manifest or not unmanifest. He is beyond all manifestation.
This dot that you mentioned, there is a very interesting point about it, that people say that Big Bang happened 14 billion years ago. So the question that gets asked is, where did the Big Bang happen in space? Like, was there a particular point in space where the Big Bang happened? And can we see that point? And the answer to that is that everything, like everything, the entire universe that is 14 billion light years wide today, all of that was that one point at the time of Big Bang. and that same point has expanded to this. So technically, Big Bang happened everywhere at that point.
My question is still that one. Where did the Big Bang happen? Right? Because in the end, it is the law of the pendulum. So if you look from this place, it is expanding. But where is this place? Has science found this place? Then it is a contracting universe.
What they say is that,
It
right,
is my point location from where I am looking. From where I am looking, the universe seems to be expanding. But if I was in some other part of the universe, somewhere I may feel the universe is contracting. No.
so the analogy that is sometimes taken to understand this is, imagine that all of us were on a balloon that was not inflated, and we would have been at a certain distance from each other on the surface of the balloon. Now the balloon is getting inflated. So each one of us is feeling that we are expanding or moving far away in relation to each other as the balloon keeps on getting expanded. So that is how science explains.
Keta, it misses a vital point, no? Because there is no end to this. It misses one vital point. In what space did the balloon exist? Whether it as a point or as an expansion, must have been contained within some space, no?
The balloon is the space.
It is impractical and impossible, an absurdity, to have something exist by itself. So if there is a created thing, there must be a creator. Otherwise, the creator must exist by himself. And that is what he's written in the. But I'm saying that is an endless discussion. I can have a counter to what you're saying.
No, the creator that you're mentioning is the Brahman that is mentioned here.
Exactly. So the science that we are referring to, modern science, Western science, especially now, is only focused on the universe as the Big Bang thing. All right? Not what the universe is contained within. Do you get my point?
See, Brahman is expanding consciousness. Today's science is consciousness is only so much they can see, is it is an expanding universe. But if their consciousness expands more, they may see something else. In their field of consciousness, this is what they see. Right. You want to do all this? So dry it is.
I was trying to stop it, that's why. But now we can keep this for
Now, next time
December.
we'll start
Yes.
the Mahabharat.
We start from.
We'll keep this for the end.
Okay. Yes, sir.
The prologue will become the epilogue.
So you decide, sir, wherever that we want to take the next time from.
So what we can do is I'm doing 4 days a week just now. I'll try to continue 4 days a week in America. And if it works out, then I'll let you know. Then we'll do 5 days a week. And one day we'll do the Mahabharat. So we continue the Mahabharat.
Okay, sir.
Right? Yeah.
One question from pendulum, that we talked about that both ends of pendulum, the good and bad. So when I'm standing on good side, I'm enjoying the scene. I'm sitting on the bank of river, and suddenly I visualize the another side of pendulum, that I'm working in an office or sitting with family and something else. So at that point, when I'm sitting on good side, So suddenly the crying comes to me. I'm smiling. So one should feel both things together, like at that point. That what you we were talking the day before yesterday.
તો એક કામ કરે ગુજરાતીમાં પૂછી લે.
એટલે જ્યારે પેન્ડુલમની એક સાઈડ પર હોય ત્યારે હવે અત્યારે હું એકદમ મતલબ ખુશ છું અત્યારે, બરાબર?
આઈ એમ હેપી.
આઈ એમ હેપી. સો એ ટાઈમે મને મારું બીજું પેન્ડ્યુલમની સાઈડ યાદ આવી. લાઈક વી ટોક કે આપણે વિઝ્યુલાઇઝ કરવાનું છે એ ટાઈમ પર, બોથ હેન્ડ આપણે જોવાના છે. સો એ ટાઈમે મને બીજું પેન્ડ્યુલમની બીજી સાઈડ યાદ આવી જે આવવાની જ છે. સો એ ટાઈમે મને એ જેવું વિઝ્યુલાઇઝ કર્યું એને બધી ફિલિંગ્સ અચાનક મારી અંદર આવી ગઈ. સો એવું થશે કે એક ટાઈમે હસવાનું પણ છે અને રડવાનું પણ છે.
Try to, શરૂઆતની અંદર, try to do it in relationship. Don't do all this sunset and sunrise and all that. Just try to do it in relationship. You understand? Supposing I meet you, right? And I see that you are friendly towards me, right? So I visualize, supposing he was not friendly, what would he be? And is that part of which I'm visualizing hidden in him or not? Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Just try to do this much. Try to do this. What is the dark side? Supposing you're already married, but now your parents and her parents have arranged a meeting. Right? And she's telling you about herself. Oh, I do interior decoration and I do this and I do that and what do you call, and I'm a good dancer and you know. How would you read beyond the lines? How will you see the other side of the pendulum? How will you see the other side of the pendulum? Okay. Supposing you're sitting in a restaurant and she's talking of what a good person am I. Also, I'm talking what a good person am I. Right? And the waiter comes and he drops a small thing. And she says, hey. Then what will you read? You will read that in the unconscious there's still a lot of aggressiveness. Can you understand? If her tone changes with the waiter, right, you will understand that there is still a lower side, what it could be. Now, after all that, you still say, I love her. And you've already visualized the other side. Can you see? So, when you meet a person, you have to read what is in the unconscious side of it. And sometimes it is difficult. And sometimes it takes a long time for that unconscious to become available to you. But every time, certain actions, you can try to visualize what the other side is. Right. So supposing she calls me to her home for dinner, this and that, and after some time she stops calling me. But I have already seen that beforehand. It doesn't pain me at all. I know that this was lying in the subconscious mind. It has to come out at some time. So you should be able to read the other person. Now you go out to a restaurant, right? And supposing she's eating her food. but you look away a little and suddenly she starts eating mechanically. Suddenly you know what is behind the thing. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So it is the way the person eats, the way he clasps his hand, the way he talks to others, where the tone changes, what is the relaxation in the muscles, what is the tightness in the muscles, which muscles are tight, which muscles are loose. Some muscles represent anger, some muscles represent jealousy. I won't go deeper into it. There's also an astrological formation of the face, of the thighs, of the cheeks. So many things tell you the other side of the pendulum. Can you understand?
And
Now, say we take Vijay and his son, right? Now, the father and son, and the father repeats in the son. This is the meaning of the word putra. Huh? The word putra. So, you'll see a certain face, and you'll see a certain face in the son. In the sun, not a sun, S-U-N, right? Okay. So, suddenly you will read that there is a predominance of moon over here, the long face, predominant of moon, the tone of the skin, and that is repeated in the sun, right? So you'll know here is a person who overthinks everything. Moon is very active. You'll know what the positive qualities of moon are, what the negative qualities of moon are. Can you get everything? So this is just on the surface I'm giving you this thing, right? So it is you have to study the other person, and in the other person you want to look at the other end of the pendulum.
so when other
Right.
pendulum
Huh?
comes, I won't hurt.
I can't understand.
જ્યારે બીજું પેન્ડ્યુલમ આવે ત્યારે મને હર્ટ નહીં થાય એમ કે મેં ત્યારે
How will it hurt you? You already know. You already know. But he goes to sleep with a revolver under his pillow. I don't know if she goes to sleep with a revolver under her pillow. Right? Uh, you know.
one more question. એક હજુ છે પૂછું ઇટ્સ અબાઉટ અગેન પેન્ડ્યુલમ. હવે જ્યારે હું પેન્ડ્યુલમ ગુડથી બેડ સાઈડ જાઉં છું તો ઓટોમેટિક ચેન્જીસ મારી અંદર આવવા માંડે છે. લાઈક આઈ એમ ઇટિંગ મોર ફૂડ સડનલી. આઈ એમ નોટ હંગ્રી બિફોર. પહેલાં થોડાક દિવસ પહેલાં હું આટલી ભૂખ મારી અંદર નહોતી, પણ અચાનક મને બહુ ભૂખ લાગવા માંડી. મારું ખાવાનું ડબલ થઈ ગયું.
It's a very good observation. Very, very powerful observation.
સો એટ ધેટ ટાઈમ માય ક્વેશ્ચન ઇઝ ધેટ કે એ સમયે મારે એક ફૂડ ખાઈને મારે એનાથી ગુજરવું જોઈએ કે એ સમયે મારે ખાવાનું સ્ટોપ કરવું જોઈએ કે આઈ શુડ સ્ટોપ ઓર આઈ શુડ લેટ ફૂડ કમ્સ ઇન.
You have to awaken intelligence. And the very fact that you have observed this is very deep, because we pass through what you call different phases. It's certain we'll see for months we don't feel hungry. We feel hungry, but we don't feel like overeating. We automatically we feel food. And sometimes we feel that we want to eat more. Right? And it is an inner observation what this is connected to. Right? And you should use those periods. Right? So in those periods when you are not feeling so hungry, just be fulfilled with whatever you eat a little at that time. But there will be times when suddenly you're feeling very hungry, right? And that is the time when you go into the food, chew on the food, and from less food try to extract more, what do you call, Tan Matras, more ras. So this is all things which come out through self-observation. And you'll literally see that there are phases when you're more hungry, and there are phases when suddenly you see that I don't feel like eating so much, right? And this is very important, very good observation, very, very good observation. Bolo. Shall we?
Achway, sir,
Huh?
last
Yeah.
one. Now, when we all have pendulums in life, so when I am nimit of someone's bad side of pendulum, nimit, Gujarati word,
Ne?
like I am nimit of someone's bad side of pendulum, like કોઈનું bad pendulum આવવાનું છે ને એનો હું નિમિત્ત છું. I am doing some act and then I am nimit of his or her bad side of pendulum. So some act happens by me which hurts someone badly. Some act I don't want to do that act, but some act happened by me and which is hurt someone very badly. And I was not allowed to do that, but it happened by me somehow. And
See, in our life, in unawareness, we have done so much. The causes are unaware. Right? You don't worry about that. You rise in consciousness. Your very rising in consciousness will balance that. You don't be bothered. If you go into guilt, then you'll mess up the whole thing. Right? Your only aim is to rise in consciousness. And in that rising of consciousness, you will know at a certain time when you will be able to look at that incident without judging, you will be able to heal that incident. Heal that. There is a process of healing, but it can only be done when there is no judgmental eye. As long as there is a judgmental eye, then you cannot do the process of healing. Bolo, shall we?
There's one question from Samarjit.
Yeah.
Should take it. In yesterday's session, you mentioned that Sahadev was very near Krishna's stage. Krishna in us represents our divine fragment. Then what does Sahadev represent?
His state of awareness, his state of consciousness, I was saying, that he could see the past, present, and future together. That is what I was saying. So, for just as the divine fragment is omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, he had this gift of omniscience. Shall we? We'll do the Gayatri Mantra. We'll do the Gayatri. Bhuvah Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodaya. Bhuvah Swaha Tatsavitu Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodaya. Om. तत्सवितु वरेण्यम् भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवन् भवानी सहितं नमामि. मङ्गलं भगवान् विष्णु मङ्गलं गरुडध्वज मङ्गलं पुण्डरीकाक्षु मङ्गलाय तनोहरि. सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते. सर्वत्र सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Thank you, everyone. With God's grace, we'll meet in December again. Thank you.